Of the previous minutes. That's the minutes of December the 9th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Once again, June, thank you for sending them electronically.
Oh, it's so much easier for me too, thank you.
That's not the purpose. Communication, letters, and what have you. I received 2 letters from our comptroller, Kelly Pecoraro. These I'll hold over until next meeting, but one asking to be reappointed as comptroller and one asking to be reappointed as budget officer. I also have a letter from Pat Patterson asking to be reappointed as highway superintendent. Again, we'll hold that over to our first meeting of next year.
I have a file on all that.
Okay.
Is that your reorganization meeting, the first meeting of
Yeah.
January?
And June, did you, while we're talking right now, did you figure out when we're going to do the swearing?
12 o'clock.
12 o'clock on January the 1st, we'll be swearing in the newly elected people.
Right, what date was that again?
The first.
The
And that'll be
first
right
at
here.
12 o'clock.
Anybody
First
wishes
at
to
12.
come and join us? Financial reports, we paid out $50,374, cover the check run dated December the 9th. The larger items are Auto Pro, $6,568 from the Highway Department for auto parts, Direct Energy, $2,728 for all the departments. Global Montello for the sanitation diesel, $3,184. O&R, $2,373 for streetlights for the electric delivery. Rockland County Waste, $9,614 for landfill charges. And Wex Bank, $3,368 for fuel consumption on our credit card. That would be for gas. We have some budget transfers. I'll read them off and we can approve them all together, or if anyone on the board would like to question it, please do. From the contingent account to legal, $5,000 for unbudgeted legal expenses. Town hall other to town hall contractual, $1,500. There wasn't enough in the contractual budget. Dial-a-bus salary part-time drivers to dial-a-bus town share, $260, town matching share to the county. Recreation programs personal services to recreation programs vehicle maintenance, $250 was for battery bulbs and an oil change. Recreation contractual to programs reimbursed by participants, $150 for basketball shirts. Zoning legal to zoning other expenses, $100 for their advertising was higher than budgeted for. Cemetery contractual to cemetery other expenses, $550 for tree removal. Have any questions?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so carried. Board liaison reports. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you. Good evening. So as I always say, the Zoning Board of Appeals meets on the third Wednesday of each month. They met on the 18th. I could not attend that meeting. They had several variances for the Latter-day Saints project that were approved. They have a public hearing on a project on Mine Dock Road that is being continued. And they set a public hearing for an interpretation. Next meeting will be January 15th, 2020. The building department, new hire Phil Hannawalt, attended school, mandatory school last week for 3 days. And good evening, Mr. King. For the month of November, there were 10 permit applications, 12 permits were issued, 10 certificates of occupancy were issued, 54 physical building inspections, 3 fire safety inspections, 6 advisory notices, 13 municipal searches, 3 planning board applications received, 3 zoning board applications received, 8 FOIL requests, 63 total number of physical inspections. With the sewer department, TAM, as everybody knows, has a shared services project they've been doing. I'm going to give a report on that either in January or February. In conjunction with that, last year, I'm a little bit disappointed, our one line exceeded $20,000 for them to come do emergency repairs at pump stations. For reasons I've stated before, I'm trying to get it to where we do more of that in-house. And I think I've set them up with the equipment to be able to do so. It's a matter of on Wednesdays and Thursdays when they are together, being able to do that. During the month of November, there was 101,000 gallons per day average for a plant rated for 120, and we had 3.6 inches of rain. The billing, I'll save till later, the Fusco question, or I'll save that until later on. On the LED project, we had the kickoff meeting, which we talked about at the last town board meeting. We have since received an estimate, or actually not an estimate, a number from Orange and Rockland for buying out the lights. I'm not going to say the number here, but it's about half what was projected. That's great news. It's half of what the estimate was, saving us that much more as that project goes on. The Environmental Advisory Committee met on December the 13th for the last meeting of the year. Olga's going to come give a little report in January, and I think she wants to have somebody give a little 5-minute talk on electric vehicles at some point, and that's basically my report.
Thank you, sir. Councilman King?
Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. I don't have a lot to report this evening in terms of my areas of responsibility, other than a shout out to the center for obviously continuing to do a good job. But I would like to say a couple of things to the community at large, and that is that this is what I anticipate to be my last board meeting, and so therefore I'd like to say it's been an honor and a pleasure to work with all the esteemed board members here, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Perry, Mr. Livesey there, and those board members previous to them. And so thank you for giving me the trust and confidence to allow me to do this. And moving forward, the last thing I would say is I visited Ms. June Gunza, councilwoman in the hospital, who wanted me to convey to the community that she is very thankful for the prayers and the thoughts that have been coming towards her as she has been trying to recover from a significant illness. She believes that that has been the difference between her living and dying, actually. Those prayers have been answered, and she's still with us. So please continue to do that because she still has a long road ahead. But all that being said, thank you again, and good night.
I don't know about that good night thing.
I'd just like to mention that it's my pleasure to attend a ceremony down at the high school this past week in which the basketball court was renamed and dedicated. It was at the high school for Coach Jerry Kaplan. 34 years of service to the community as a teacher and a coach. He had a very successful run in basketball, and I think it's an honor that I'd just like to let people know about, that when you go down to a basketball game now, you're at the Coach J.K. Gymnasium. So just wanted to mention that. Also wanted to, again, thank the Highway Department for keeping the roads in good shape during the erratic weather we've been having, and hopefully we will not have the need to send them out too much more, but winter is here now. That's all, Bob.
I visited June Gunza yesterday at the Helen Hayes Rehab Hospital down in West Haverstraw, and she most certainly is coming along. For those interested, visiting hours begin at 11, and they suggest down there that you call ahead to be sure she isn't in therapy if you go down to see her, because her therapy lasts anywhere from 1 to 2 hours, depending on what she's doing. So you would take a chance if you go down there without calling ahead. But she's doing very good. We had a little chat about town business, and we're doing all right. Chief, do you have something?
No, sir. Thanks for a great year. Appreciate your support.
Kelly, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. It might be 7:15.
No.
Okay, the Highway Department. Pat, as per the collective bargaining agreement for the employee association, he's asking that Ryan Falk be promoted to medium equipment operator in the Highway Department. He's been doing that job since January, and considering that the contract is wages for that, which are a little higher than what he's been getting through the year, will take effect as of 1 January of this year. So I'll ask for a motion to promote Ryan Falk to MEO and the Highway Department.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. And again, as per the collective bargaining agreement for the employee association, he's asking to promote Jacob Sibley to sanitation driver. Jacob was a laborer, I believe, and there's no longer laborer positions in the Highway Department. That's effective with the new contract. So I'll ask for a motion to promote these two gentlemen effective 1/1/2019.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. Yes,
I just want to confirm the date. It's January 1st, 2019,
2020.
or January 1st, 2020?
January 1st, 2019. Remember, it's retroactive.
Right.
Okay. Surplus equipment in the Highway Department to be, I think it's already on the auction block, but we've got to officially deem it surplus. That's the Genesis scan system. That's the one, we bought the new one because the scanner is no longer supported but by software or hardware or whatever kind of wear goes with a scanner. The 1990 Case backhoe, which I bought back in 1990. And the 2008 Caterpillar backhoe, and I've got the VIN numbers on this. So I'll ask for a motion to declare those three pieces of equipment as surplus and request that they be put on, out for sale.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I have a letter from Alyssa Lewandowski. I am resigning from the confidential secretary position for the highway superintendent. My last day will be December the 27th, 2019. I appreciate the opportunity to have worked with Mr. Patterson over the years. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work in this position. I have greatly enjoyed and appreciated the opportunities of working for the town of Highlands. Thank you, Alyssa Lewandowski. I ask for a motion to accept the resignation.
Motion? Second.
And by the way, that's December 27th, if I didn't say that. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Now to replace her, Pat and I forget who else was with us. Alyssa was with us. and we interviewed a temporary replacement for her, and then I'm requesting that the board, pending the approval from Orange County, hire Tiffany Montalese as the confidential secretary to the highway superintendent at the 2020 rate of pay for this position. She would be starting on January the 3rd, 2020. She seems very well qualified, and the reason it's a temporary position, she'll be fulfilling a full-time position at the school in June. So she's willing to go on till June, if not, if he doesn't find somebody before that. If he does, she's willing to step down. So I'll ask for a motion to hire Tiffany Montalese.
Motion?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so carried. Kelly, would you talk to us about the new insurance policy?
So Bob and I met last week with Scott Lieber from CLG Insurance, who gave us two quotes to renew the general liability and public officials insurance for 2020. So the first company is the one that we currently use, and they came in at a slight increase, and I didn't bring the package with me, I think it was about $2,500. I might have sent you an email on it.
Yeah, it's $2,443.
Okay. The second proposal was from another insurance company that came in lower than what we're currently paying. However, there was some drawbacks to their coverage. They didn't cover, do you have the email in front of you?
Yeah.
So there was quite a list actually of things. The current company we have is called HCC, and one of the things that they offer is they process their claims in-house, and they have in-house attorneys, which the other insurance company does not have. There were some other minor differences. The one we carry now does pesticide and herbicide coverage, which we would need because we spray pesticides. This other company doesn't cover that. Our company covers sewer backup liability, and the other company does not, which we've actually had to use in the past. The current company we have covers mutual aid, like we have with the ambulance corps, of up to $1 million. The other company does not cover it at all. There's no coverage for non-monetary damage under public officials liability. For example, if we were sued over a zoning board law change, the other company doesn't cover it, where the company we have now does cover that. And the other big one was the company we have now covers molestation and abuse under their umbrella policy. The other company does not cover that at all. So there was some pretty, in my opinion, I thought there was some pretty big drawbacks to the less expensive company. I think we'd be better off staying with what we have so that we have full coverage for $2,500 more next year.
As I mentioned, I was part of the meeting with Kelly. For some clarifications, we brought Pat Patterson in, we brought June in. And I would go along with Kelly and recommend the present company. If we're not ready to approve tonight, we have to do it at our next meeting.
The current policy expires January 12th, and the next meeting is January 13th.
Would anyone like to offer a motion?
I'll offer a motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay.
Thank you.
Fusco Engineering has been our engineer for the sewer projects, two of them. One of them demanded by the DEC, and one of them it would be an updating of the sewer plant that is necessary. Fusco Engineering has, I'll let you talk about this.
I'll try and keep out of trouble.
All right, yeah.
So the big project I'm gonna refer to as the EFC project. If you quiz me on what that acronym means, I don't remember. And the other one is the dechlorination, which resulted from a violation from an unanswered violation from 2017. Anyway, we get a lot of bills from them, and we have an agreement. We had a technical meeting on September 4th of 2018. Al Fusco went on a moment's notice, giving him full credit. He brought a gentleman named John Nosek. Pat Patterson went and myself down to White Plains. About 3 days after that, we got a letter from them on a projection for what that project would cost. I'm not gonna call it a contract. It was a letter which I consider to be binding. There were 3 items in that letter. I won't go into details on it. We've gotten some bills that are labeled extra, and it's all over the place. So last Wednesday, I spent the entire day here. I went through all of them. Anything from 2016 and 2017 was before I was on the board, so I just separated them and said I can't speak to them. The ones related to dechlorination, I spoke to, emailed, I sent it to Kelly, yourself, and whatnot, a 9-page letter that I sent to him. I don't think anybody's gotten a response from that, excepting the other project, the EFC, which has 3 lines. They're public: 10,000, 195,000, and 100,000. The 100,000 is for when the project starts, inspection, et cetera, and so on. So we have a ton of vouchers, and I've asked them. We had June and myself and Justin went to his office over a year ago to ask them for a declining balance when they send a bill from that project. So what I'm gonna do next week, you give me every voucher you've ever gotten from them. I'm gonna tally them up. I'm gonna email it back to them and say, here's how much is left in this project, because all they sent was a copy of that agreement for the EFC. There's been no other response. So it's unfortunate we have to do that, but it's a mess and we're gonna clear it up.
Okay, I'm bringing this up at a public meeting so that all of a sudden the general public doesn't say, wow, how did this happen? What's going on? What have you? We're working on it. We're working on trying to get it straightened out. And I'm not suggesting that Fusco Engineering is doing anything wrong. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying that their billing leaves a little bit to be desired. Okay. Justin, you have anything to say about that?
No, that was a nice synopsis.
Okay.
Environmental Facilities Corporation
Thank
is
you.
EFC. Just to make Richie feel badly that he forgot something.
Okay, at the last meeting, Councilman Parry, this letter is from Justin, asked me to review the procedures surrounding a vacancy should one of the council-elects decline the position. And he sent us a memorandum which he will explain to us our options.
Certainly. So you've dealt with vacancies before, including on your town board over the years, but most recently in the receiver of taxes, right? The initial part of the process is the timing of the vacancy as to when or what procedures apply. So the newly elected officials have 30 days from January 1st in which to file their oath of office. If they do not in that 30-day period, then there is a vacancy. If they submit documentation that they're declining the position prior to that, there is a vacancy, right? So any potential vacancy will occur January of 2020 or by latest February 1st. At that point, the town board has the ability to appoint council people to those vacancies. They would serve for the balance of 2020. And in November of 2020, there'd be a general election for either one or both positions, depending on what occurred. Well, both positions, because if they remain vacant, right, there'd be an election to fill the vacancy. That would be for the balance of those terms. So the people who would run in November would be running, in essence, for 3-year terms, the balance of the terms. To appoint someone, the town board requires 3 votes, right? So it's So in this case, with two potential vacancies, right, the 3 votes would have to be unanimous to appoint someone, and that is because both case law and statutory law tells you that you need a majority of the authorized board. Your authorized board is 5, so a majority of that is 3. So it requires, in this instance, Councilman Sullivan, Parry, and Supervisor Livesey to agree on any potential appointment. Again, if they do not, then the seat or seats remain open until such time as the 3 parties agree, or in November, there'll be another general election again for the balance of those terms. That is strictly speaking regarding the vacancies. Town law and public officers law also allows for an elected official to remain as a holdover, if they so choose, meaning they can continue to act in their position until there is an appointment to fill the vacancy. The only thing those holdover potentially Councilman King or potentially Councilwoman Gunza cannot do is act with respect to their vacancy. So in theory, they can hold over. They are not bound to. They can also resign their position, but they can hold over. They can act in accordance with all the rules that govern this board otherwise, but they could not participate in any vacancy decisions. Does that boil down my memo in English?
Well, I've been going over and over this, so I know exactly what you're saying.
I tried to write it clearly in the memo, and I'm happy to send you backup documentation on that if anyone requires anything further.
I do have the case law documentation that Justin sent me, if you want a copy of it. Are there any questions for Justin?
Just explain, so the potential candidates, should they choose not to come in, have until February 1st or the end of January
January
to do
31st.
so. What happens if Ty or June were to be a holdover during the month of January?
Sure. So technically, they could hold over. Again, elected officials maintain their position until their replacement is in place, right? So the election by itself does not do that in any instance, right? It's not until you file your oath and sort of hold your position that you are, right? So in theory, right, I think in last year, 2 years ago now, right, I think town traditionally tries to do that on January 1st. Some towns, sometimes it's a day or 2 later, right? But you take your oath and you file your necessary paperwork. Kelly finishes the bonding process, which is part of the insurance we were just talking about, and then you're official. So they could act during this limbo period because it's unclear, or at least it's unclear to me, what they've determined to do.
That could potentially be a by-the-hour event. Someone could come in
Absolutely.
at 10:33 on Tuesday morning
Sure.
and
Yep.
take the oath, and that's that.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Thank you.
And I don't know who was elected to what seat, and I haven't checked with the Board of Elections, and I don't know that even the town clerk knows that, right? But if one or the other, well, who's the appropriate holdover, and we'd have to look into that if that becomes an issue to be concerned with.
Okay, a holdover doesn't have to say he's going to be a holdover. He only has to say that he's not interested in being a holdover.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Technically, right? Technically, well, in this instance, we'll use names since it's easier as an example, right? Technically, Ty was elected 4 years ago, and he remains in his seat until the vacancy is filled. So he's a holdover. Again, not allowed to act with respect to his own vacancy. So any appointment would be 3 people, even if Ty were holding over, he would have nothing to do with those deliberations or those votes.
Are there any questions? Okay. I hope everyone out there it's clear in their mind as to what we're talking about. And if not, anybody sitting up here would be glad to explain it to them again.
Absolutely. And
As long as they
we
don't
might
ask
have more
me-
information at the next meeting,
As
and
long
I
as they
can
don't ask
brief
me what
everybody.
EFC means, I'll be fine.
Okay, is there
I
any
think I
public
explained it already.
public comment? Anybody?
How are you? Board,
Hey, sir.
how are you?
Captain? Captain?
Just to let you know, November, well, so far in December, we only had 18 calls, but there's no more meetings, so get this to Kelly, and then November was 36 calls. I just need permission to get the radios in. Can I call Corelli or Goosetown?
I already told Goosetown.
Okay.
I told them that you would be calling.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
we can get that done. Otherwise, both vehicles are up and running. We had some problems with the stretcher fitting into the 386, but it does fit, so we had to take the piece off and put the plunger in so that it gets in and out. But other than that, we're good to go.
Okay, I need from you, you just had your elections. I need for our approval, the line officers.
No problem.
I need them by the next meeting, so there's no,
Next meeting
January the
is
7th.
January 7th.
13.
13th?
13th.
I'll
What's
get the,
January 7th? That's something. I don't know what it is.
It's Tuesday.
Oh, I go back to work again.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Everything else all right down there? or-
Yes,
Yeah?
it is, sir.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So carried.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
And don't turn me off.
Oh.
I've even got it written in the minutes here. On behalf of the town board, the town employees, everything to do with the town, I'd like to wish everyone a joyful and Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year.
Very nice.